Next we're going to start painting the background. Now I really want our flower to stand out, so we're going to kind of do an impressionistic background, not too much detail in it. It's going to look blurry, you know, like when you focus a photo on just the flower. So for this we're going to be using Mars Black, Burnt Umber, Sap Green, and Primary Cyan. I just kind of spun my palette around just so I can put some new colors out. So I'm going to put some black, some of the cyan, which the cap's sticking a little bit. Like I said, you might want to get a little nutcracker or some pliers so that you can get some of these caps off sometimes. I still have some white out. I'm going to use some of that too. We're going to take Burnt Umber and Sap Green is the other color we're going to use. You probably already had some of that out, but you can add a little more. So if you look at our reference picture, how it has leaves of trees in the background, and there's some of the driveway. This flower's in my own yard. So we're going to just lightly put those details in, but not really focus on them. Okay. Now that we have our colors, you can see at the top of the picture, that's where we're going to want our blue. So I'm going to switch to a 1-inch filbert brush. They're kind of oval. Actually, it's 3/4. Sorry about that. So I'm going to dip in my pink, get my brush nice and wet. I'm going to take some white, and I'm going to take a little bit of the cyan. That's pretty dark, so I'm going to take some more white. Okay, and we get a nice sky blue color. I'm going to put that up at the top where our sky is. Just little dabs of color we're putting because we're going impressionistic with this part. I'm going to come all the way down and kind of put a crisp edge right on this bud. Okay. And then kind of get some on your edge. This will go. These kind of canvas boards you usually put in a frame, but it gives it a nice finished look if you make sure you do your edge. Okay. So now that our blue's on there, I'm going to wash out my brush. Make sure it's nice and clean. Okay, then I'm going to take some sap green and some of my black. Lightly mix those together, and then I'm going to kind of just dab some of that color on, like our trees. Okay. Just little dabs of color. As you run out, the color kind of changes. It's a little hard getting close to the flowers, but be careful. You can come in with your angled shader if that gets too tricky. And I'm just going to paint around the edge of my flower. I'm using the 1/4-inch angled shader for this, just so I can keep this nice and crisp. You don't want to lose the flowers that you work so hard to paint. Okay. Go right around that. Get our nice crisp line. Okay, I'm going to follow that down all the way to here with this color. So I'm going to go right in between my petals. This part we want crisp, but we're going to do the other part a little blurry. So let me just go around that. Okay, and even to over all the way to this one, I'm going to just take that with my angled shader. Okay, get a nice crisp edge. Like I said, if it's getting a little skipping, your brush is too dry, so dip it in water, dry it off, and then you can come back and get your crisp lines. Okay. If you happen to have that happen where you slop it over a little bit onto your stem, clean your brush, get it nice and dry, but still damp, and then you can kind of chase back that color and get your line crisp like that again. Okay, I'm going to switch back to my filbert brush and take this color. If you're running a little low on it, you can mix some more. And I'm going to just put that in here. Okay, let's fill this whole area. This is good for filling big areas of color. Like I said, we're not going for too much detail here. Our flower is the star of the show. But we want a little hint of the background. If you don't want to do this, you could even paint your whole background black or a solid color. That's up to you. This is your painting. You can finish it however you like. Okay. So we have a semblance of a tree there. A little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to take some of this umber, our burnt umber color, and I'm going to mix some of that with a little black, and I'm going to do that around this bottom. Just dabbing the color on. And then you can take a little white, mix that with it, dab that around here too. Work that up into our green. I kind of want it to look like the background, like you're not wearing your glasses. Okay. Take some more black, mix that with our brown, do this bottom corner here, because this is fairly dark down here. And along our edge. Keep it in from where your leaves are, because we're going to go around and do those with our angled shader. Okay. Switch back to your angled shader. Now take these colors and then just put your nice crisp lines around these. Okay, we're going to keep going and go around all of those leaves.